Hey, Mimi,
Yeah.
don't get eaten by a shark.
Yeah, Mimi, don't get eaten by a shark.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff. And this week we are talking about 47 Meters Down, Uncaged.
Uncaged!
Because it's Shark 2 weeks, baby.
Sharky 2 weeks.
Sharky 2's week. There's been some debate about what it's called, but I think any of the three will do. That said, this is our second Shark 2 weeks, Sharky 2's week installment. And, you know, some people had some wrong feelings about the first one, which is to say that I also had some wrong feelings about the first one. It's not a fun movie. It's just the ending that I loved so much. And what I will say is that this film, I feel, directly answered all of the critiques Sydney had of the first one. Did you guys enjoy your experience when we watched it together yesterday? Would you say it was better than the first 47 Meters Down?
Certainly, Chelsea. Certainly.
Why is Bugs Bunny on here?
I just agree. It definitely was way better, but that could have been the fact that we were all together for the first time, and watching a horror movie like this one with jump scares in it is so much more beautiful and delicious when you're with your pals, you know?
Everything that the first one, everything that it did not give me, this one gave me. There was more sharks. There was like growth in a relationship with sisters, which, you know, like who knew I wanted that out of a shark movie, but I did, and I do.
Although I would like to say right off the bat, while this movie does technically carry on the premise of sisters, which apparently is a hallmark of the 47 Meters Down franchise,
it truly
I would say, first of all, off the bat, the through lines here, because it's not the 47 Meters Down part of it. The through lines for the 47 Meters Down franchise are opening with an extended underwater montage into an abstractly shot underwater pool scene. Sisters, underwater shots lit by a blinking or blaring red light. Sharks for sure sharks. They've got some of the same elements, you know what I mean?
One
the
of my
face
favorites.
masks.
Oh yeah, the face masks that show off your beautiful face,
your beautiful eyelashes, perfectly curled.
In this case, the faces of Nepotism hires Nickelodeon stars, according to Chelsea here.
Oh yeah.
We've got a lot of children of people that you care about, and not a lot of people that you care about.
I care about literally every one of these little characters. Okay, how dare you?
I'm so sorry. I mean, one thing I will say though, I'm very upset that I was never told how many meters down they were during this film. It's something that I came to expect as something just to guide me and make me feel safe, and at no point did I know how many meters down. And
but
I think it was
but don't you think
issue
that it would have been a worse movie if it were called, you know, like 6 Meters Down Uncaged? I don't think they're very underwater.
That's not what I'm asking for. They needed to keep the same title for the brand continuity.
Say how far down they were,
during the film, they should have been like, "Oh, and yes, we're 20 meters down."
My gauge. No, I think it just like they had to be only a few meters down. They really were not that underwater. And I don't think you can be in a 47 meters down movie and then be like, we're 7 meters down. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think it has that same punch. That said, they did originally call the sequel when it was in development 48 Meters Down. And that would have been hilarious if that ended up being the final title
10 meters down.
And they also, God, there was some other name that I had in my notes. It was like 47 meters down, the next chapter, which is also hilarious because it implies a certain continuity that just simply does not exist.
Yeah. Mandy Moore's never going in the ocean again after the last one. That's for sure. Kate,
honestly, after filming that
she's
movie,
dead.
Yeah, Mandy Moore, I'm sure, was like, I will literally never go in water again. Like, you made me film in broccoli soup for 2 months, and it's just not happening. But if you haven't seen this movie, just a quick summary for you. You should immediately go watch it because it is a blast, unlike the last one, which I said was a blast, which is
it's not a stretch. That was not a blast. This was a blast.
This is a blast. It's about 4 girls also in Mexico, but
that's another one of the through lines.
Oh yes, Mexico. 4 teenage girls in Mexico. 2 of them are stepsisters, perhaps somewhat newly. It's not clear when Mia's dad and Sasha's mom got married. Maybe they're just living together for the first time in Mexico. Who knows? But they've got a strained relationship. And then Sasha has 2 lovely friends, Nicole and Alexa. And Alexa, I guess, has been seeing this boy, Ben, one of Mia's dad's assistants in the underwater Mayan temple cave system, just casually. And so she knows all about this cave system, and they go in, but lo and behold, something goes wrong. Oh no, the caves start collapsing around them. And all of a sudden, they're trapped underwater in these caves with some blind ass sharks.
Sharks. Also,
you can imagine where it goes from there. Oh, Chelsea. Did I miss something important?
No, that was just the most in-depth and
Let me sum it up. Here's a 5-minute summary.
Here's a 5-minute summary. I was like, excuse me, I'm looking at IMDb right now, and that's not what it says. So
they're wrong. Fine, read it. Read what IMDb
diving
says.
In a ruined underwater city, quickly learn they've entered the territory of the deadliest shark species in the claustrophobic labyrinth of submerged cage. Like, okay, yours was really good, but you didn't have that same oomph, you know?
Okay, here's
gotta
the
bring
thing.
The drama, Chelsea.
I have a bone to pick with that summary, which is the deadliest species of shark in this underwater cave. It is the only species of shark in this underwater cave. It is also the least deadly species.
The deadliest.
The least deadly species in this underwater cage.
No, there's no cage, Chelsea. It's uncaged. Come on.
You know what I meant.
I had to do it.
The whole movie is uncaged.
Yeah, I mean, I love that Uncaged is just a pseudonym. No, synonym is what we're trying to go for unhinged, because this movie is fucking unhinged. It's insane. And I loved it. And we watched it. We said this last episode, but this movie started the spooky crew that spawned Spooky Tuesday. So it's very important to us. But Sydney had never seen it, so we saw it all together last night. And like, have I screamed that much in the last calendar year? No. I was so scared. And it begs the question, do I only get that scared performatively in front of my friends? Maybe. But also it was like fucking terrifying.
Yeah, there's a different energy when you're around people watching a scary movie. I think just also like scientifically in your brain, blah, blah, blah. I haven't researched this, but here's my hypothesis. When you're watching a scary movie alone, sometimes on some level it's scary because you're alone and there's no one there to help you in case there really is a ghost or whatever in your arena. But when you're watching a scary movie with a friend, it's more exciting because there's like unknown elements in the space. Like it might just be your friend, but something might move in the corner of your eye and you don't know what it is because there's all of these other elements around you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it changes the atmosphere.
Or like no one else is as scared as Manu, and Manu scares everybody else because she freaks out so bad. Shout out to Manu.
Or Monica's boyfriend Adam watched this movie with us as well, and he was like up and pacing about, and he was just like very stressed.
He could not even sit down for it. It's just a nonstop horror show. You know what I mean? It's just, it's all about the jump scares, and there's so many of them. And honestly, like, some people hate on jump scares. I fucking love them if they're done
them.
well.
What else are you gonna do in a shark movie? That's the point of a shark movie.
It could be
a psychological shark thriller.
And did we watch that last time? Didn't we watch that last time and you hated it?
I hated
it.
Okay, but can we talk about the shark in this movie? Because
the shark, there are at least 3.
Well, here's the thing.
Spoiler, Monica.
Oh, sorry.
Dare you?
Yeah, Monica, we were trying to save
I'm so
that.
sorry. I redacted.
So, we learn vaguely early on when they're underwater because they're they're swimming in this ancient temple and they see this see-through fish and they're just like, look at this fish. It's been down in the dark for so long that it has no eyeballs. It is adapted. It is blind. And they're like, it's never even seen a human. And then this fish turns around and screams. And when I mean screams, I mean this fish is full blown underwater.
I wrote down the subtitle from that moment because it made me laugh so hard. It's just screeching and then it has a little break, the open, God, I don't know what they're called. I'm not a coder. I just was on Neopets for a long time. The little arrow brackets. And then it's got the BR in there because it's a line in the code that was meant to be a break in the subtitles, but the breaks are just in there the whole time. But it's screeching and then Nicole screams. And so you just have the fish screaming as its own subtitle. It's beautiful.
I thought you were going to reveal what the fish's name was. I was really excited for that. That
would be so incredible. There are some truly artistic subtitles in this movie. One later on is sound of Carl putting down his welding torch, and that's the subtitle for that moment, which is just, another film would have been Clank. This film, sound of Carl putting down his welding torch. It's so descriptive. You know what I mean? I think it brings a lot to the moment.
During the blub blubs as they're swimming around, it says swimming sounds, and I'm like, okay.
You get a lot of Mia breathing frantically in this movie for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can really do is breathe frantically. These bitches don't even have flippers because the whole fucking concept of this is that what are their fucking names? Sasha,
Mia, Nicole, and Alexa.
Yeah, Sasha and Mia are step siblings that can't stand each other. Glad to see that BB's on the pod. And their dad wants their hot dad, who is a scuba diver / archaeologist, ocean archaeologist.
It's unsure what he does.
I don't think he's the archaeologist. I think he's just the cave dive guy.
His name's Grant.
Underwater construction man.
He's like, I'm gonna make you guys bond by sending you out on a glass bottom shark boat to go look at sharks. And they're like, fucking fine, we'll be friends. But then cool girls, Alexa and Nicole, a.k.a. Sasha's friends. Mia has no friends, to be clear. Everyone hates her and they push her in the pool. Don't know why.
They do hate her.
Friend. They hate her. They hate her. Don't know why. They're like, don't be a dumb idiot who goes on a boat like a tourist. If someone was like, if you do that, you're a tourist, I would do whatever they said to. Because no one likes to be called a tourist, even though we all are tourists at some point. You know what I mean? But Alexa and Nicole, they're like, Sasha, your clout's going to go down. Come with me right now. And so Sasha and Mia go through the jungle and find a diving hole into the Mayan temple. And they have never scuba before and decide to go scuba diving without fins, without a lead line, without anything. And they jump into a watering hole with their shoes on wearing jeans. So a lot of mistakes from the get-go here.
A lot of mistakes. But here's the thing too. Maybe the whole point of this movie is for these girls to have their shot at getting on wiki feet again.
Oh God, no.
Another through line from the original.
I won't do this again. I can't go down this road.
2 weeks is not about feet pics.
It is, yeah, it's not Sharky 2's feet, Sydney.
Maybe now it is.
It's not. It's not.
I've straight up never. I never looked at their feet throughout this entire time. this entire
Same
movie.
here. Okay, first of all, Sydney shot down my vote. So I would like to vote on if we can vote on this. I say yes. Monica?
I vote that we can vote.
Sydney outvoted. We're going to vote on whether this is a foot podcast now. No. I say nay.
Now, because we are now in the same city as each other for like the second time recording, and I can physically fight both of you now.
Oh God, yeah. She's literally in the other room. So she could come fight me right now. She's holding my dog right now. She could kill BB. She's holding BB ransom. Anyway, we're just going to casually move away from the foot topic and try not to upset her.
She lost the
anyway.
vote,
so. But I mean, when you're hanging out with Alexa and Nicole, who are both hot, and one of them is Sylvester Stallone's daughter in real life, you kind of, it's like, it's hard to say no. You know what I mean? Like, I would be effectively peer pressured by them.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Rose Stallone told me what to do. I'll do whatever you want. Sistine Rose Stallone. Her name is
very bossy, very commandeering, and she's a baby in this film. But do you know what? Give her a few years and I would find that very compelling.
I'm a full adult, and if this child told me what to do, I would have to do it.
She's bossy for sure, regardless.
She's so bossy.
Like, it would be hard to defy her as like, even
her dad
even if
could
she
buy
were
me
a real even the character of Nicole, you know what I mean? Like a 16-year-old looking at me in the face and being mean, and I'm almost a 29-year-old woman, I would probably listen. I'd probably listen. Look at the way I tried to do a vote against Sydney, and I had to try and sneak it in there, you know what I mean, before she could say no to my vote system.
I know, but you still got in there. But
yeah,
if that was
and then
Sistine,
she still said it didn't even count that she would fight us.
If that was Sistine, though, you would have shut the fuck up, you know?
Listen, I would. It's hard being a girl, okay? It's hard.
But yeah, I mean, this movie again is a movie with 2 minutes of plot development, and then, or not plot development, character development, and then there's a lot of plot
in this movie. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, what defines plot? There's a lot of swimming around. And I will say, okay, beautiful setting for this film. Set design,
okay,
gorgeous.
Yes,
incredible.
I've mentioned on a couple different episodes that I'm obsessed with ruins, abandoned places, and underwater ruins and abandoned places is like really the one for me. And so this movie is iconic in that sense, even though it looks like a screenslaver / video game pretty much a lot of the time. But I just, one of the things we talked about in the first movie was that this would never happen to us because I would never go in a shark cage like that. If you told me that I could scuba dive in an underwater city, I would go. Unfortunately, I would go. I would try
do
not
all
to
of these things.
Yeah, I would try not to confront any scary fish and then get scared myself and then knock over the whole temple. You know what I mean? But who knows what's going to happen underwater? So, frankly,
don't fuck with the medieval fish. It's a medieval fish now, apparently. So,
fish from the 1400s.
Fish from the 1400s.
We do not know how long this fish has been down here. They do never give us a full.
Evolution clearly works differently within the confines of this universe. That fish could be 700 years old. You know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
It could be. And in my mind, it is.
Probably.
But like, it's just, there's so many questions that I have, because I'm just like, okay, Alexa, a babe, cool, great eyebrows. I also would trust her. She doesn't have the same like fear-mongering power that Nicole has, a.k.a. Sistine Stallone. I want to say her name all the time. Sistine Stallone.
Great name.
Oh my God. Sistine, like the Sistine Chapel. That's insane. Anyway, she looks exactly like her dad also. Just absolutely exactly like him. Wait. Who's the other one who is a nepotism hire here? Is it
Corinne Fox plays Sasha, and that's Jamie Foxx's daughter.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it. This cast is fantastic. It's a great movie. It's great.
But this movie is great because the casts are more unknown and because we all know they're nepotism hires. Like, it just makes the bad movie even better.
There's actually, it's interesting that we're doing this movie right now because there's like such a conversation like at this moment, these last few days happening about nepotism in Hollywood after Ben Stiller was like, Hollywood ultimately is a meritocracy, even though he's literally a nepotism hire. And the thing is just like,
how's he a nepotism hire? I just don't know.
His dad is Jerry Stiller.
Dad.
Who's I don't know who that is.
He's very famous.
Very famous.
Well, good for Jerry Stiller, but Ben.
Specifically a famous comedian. So,
in like a lot of movies with Ben Stiller.
Well, I'll look into that later on. Anyway.
His mom, I'm pretty sure, was also a comedian, but I don't know her name. It's Ann Mira, but like I don't know who she is. But anyway, so he started this conversation lately and it's like been happening a lot. And like ultimately, you know, Hollywood is nepotism in the same way that any other industry is all about connections and who you know, and like maybe Hollywood more than most because so much of the movies themselves are advertising and marketing, and there's like a lot of free advertising and marketing when you hire someone who is a familiar face, even if it's because they're related to someone who's a familiar face. Like Jamie Lee Curtis has talked about this in terms of her casting for the first Halloween movie. She's like, I was a relatively unknown actress. Like it was totally new. And I was up against another actress who was slightly more experienced than I was. But ultimately my mom was in Psycho, and that's more interesting branding, marketing for the movie than whoever the other girl was. So ultimately, like, she still killed it, you know what I mean, in the movie. It's still incredible. It's still her acting, but she knows how she got her foot in the door. And so my thing about this movie is, yes, it's Nickelodeon stars. Yes, it is nepotism, but do they not kill it? Do they not kill it? Can you imagine anybody else in these roles? No. If you put a named familiar actress in that role, it would be terrible. It wouldn't be terrible. Maybe they would be great, but it would not be the movie that it is. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you right now that having Mandy Moore in the first one didn't save it. So not having these girls wouldn't have made it better. You know what I mean? It's the same type general idea. I loved them. And it added a little bit of hilarity to me in an already pretty funny movie. And that's why I like this movie so much, because it's scary. And I screamed. And Adam paced around because he was so upset. And Manu ran to the bathroom because she was so scared. Like, it's scary, but it's mostly hilarious. Like, it's mostly a comedy. And that's why I liked it. I had a good time while I was screaming my ass off and hurting my vocal cords.
Right, because like you're also making fun of how stupid these girls actually are.
No.
Yes, all of them are so fucking dumb, and that's why they're so dumb. All of them, every single one.
They're all great.
They're okay, Chelsea. We can be critical on a review podcast.
I would adopt all four of them.
That's fine.
Well, open your home. My doors.
Idiots.
Open your home. My doors are closed.
But do they behave like idiots sometimes? Yes, but are they idiots? No. How dare you?
No, they're just bad girls.
Daughters.
It's like Bad Girls Gone Wrong, you know? They're like, oh, we're so cool.
Bad Girls Gone Wrong.
It is. They're like, we're bad girls. We go and we break and enter into a Mayan temple. We steal these very expensive equipment so we can have a fun little romp, not 47 meters down, but a certain amount of meters down. And then they are just so wholly unprepared. They're so sure of themselves because they're bad girls and they can get away with this stuff usually, but they're so wholly unprepared. You need flippers. I'm sorry. You need flippers. You need a freaking guideline. Like, how many times has Alexa been down there that she thinks that she can navigate this fucking cave system?
But they were only going to go into the first cave. And so there would be clearly just the one entrance and exit. They know where it is. It's not going anywhere. If they hadn't knocked over the whole thing, they would have been just
man.
They would have been cherry.
Because there's so many different like outlets, right, of this room. And in the room, there's a circular like statue of like faceless men holding hands, or women, but they don't have any tits. So faceless humanoids holding hands. It's very cool. It's epic, but it's a circle, you know? So it's very easy to get discombobulated in that circle, you know what I mean? If there's other outlets to it, which they don't know. And then I mean, they do get discombobulated right away. You know what I mean? Because was it Mia? Booty bops a statue and destroys thousands of years of ancient art.
No, it was Nicole.
Nicole, I'm so sorry.
Look,
yeah,
I have a vigorous defense of Nicole. I will be mounting later on. I won't do it right now. I will just say, to me, the big idiot moment, other than wiggling your finger at a 700-year-old ancient fish with sharp knife teeth,
and a medieval fish,
is that they really thought that they could. Well, first, that they were like, no one's gonna know we went in, and it's like, babes, you're using the oxygen tanks, like they're gonna be empty afterwards. And then the second one is thinking that you could. I genuinely think if they had just gone in the first cave and then gone back out, things would have been fine. The mistake is thinking that Nicole would listen. The mistake is thinking that Nicole would listen. Of course, Nicole is not going to just go in the first cave, look around. Mia would go in the first cave, look around, turn back. Sasha would do that. Alexa would do that. She's guiding this little tour. Nicole, that was never going to be the case for Nicole. And you guys should have known that. You guys should have known.
Agreed. Also, it's Sistine Stallone. She's never going to listen.
Exactly.
And also, like, you see something spooky in the cave where you don't have flippers. I'm going to go back to this multiple times. The flippers are crucial. You don't go anywhere with that much weight on your back without fucking flippers, man. But like, she sees something spooky and she's like, I will go towards the spooky thing into the darkness all alone. Nicole, really your shit in.
Right, because like it's a lot more brighter in the movie because like they have all the movie lights and stuff on, but like in the real life, you know, that's probably like a super dark cave.
Well, yes, caves are dark, but in the movie, it's well lit because they are excavating and stuff. So there's like there are lights that they turn on under there.
Yeah.
So I think it's realistic.
But I gotta say, I mean, the number one thing here is that like you always know when the scares are gonna come, but they still fuck you right in the face. Like I'm so sorry, that was graphic, but it's true.
They still face fuck you, okay?
No, they don't.
They do, because like the scary fish just screamed at me. Like the scary fish without a face just screamed in my face. Didn't know fish could scream, but it did. Scared as shit. And then immediately afterwards, a giant fucking shark comes by and I still equally just absolutely destroyed. Like there's enough dead space in the background where you know that the shark's gonna come, you know? You can see how a jump scare works. Like if it's framed a certain way, you know it's coming. Come on, everyone. We watch horror movies. We know what they do. And they do it well sometimes, and they do it well every time in this movie. It's just like
is true.
They do.
I'm like, how am I still so scared when I'm like, oh, it's coming, and I've seen this before, and I know it's coming, and then I still scream bloody murder every time. Like that's a great movie, you know?
Yeah, I didn't fully rewatch it after we watched it yesterday. Obviously, none of us took notes. We just vibed yesterday. But I did rewatch some of it today. On like 1.5 speed, just so I could like revisit it a little, read some articles about it because I wanted a marine biologist take. And can you imagine for this movie? Although I did read an article with a marine biologist take, so I will be providing that information.
Really can't wait to hear what they had to say.
But even in that moment, even like with the pacing of the film being off because I was watching it at not its correct speed, even like flipping through to find certain scenes, like moments would pop up and scare me, and it's like they just do them really well. They do them really well every single time. The fish screaming, truly. The way that I saw this in theaters, and it was insane. You know what I mean? Like, this is exactly the kind of movie you want to watch on a big screen with other people around. It just is such a shared communal experience to watch a jump scare.
It really
it's so beautiful when you have someone around you that you can like dig your claws into when you see a jump scare.
Yes, Chelsea and I hold hands for a lot of it.
A well done jump scare. Monica has this thing where she's always like, I've watched a movie, but I don't remember anything about this movie whatsoever. And I was sitting with Monica and like there was parts of this movie and she's just like, oh my God, I have remembered every single instance in this thing. She would like attempt to brace herself like with my hand and then be like, no, it'll give away the jump scare. I can't do that.
She held my hand for part of it because I was already spoiled. I
just thought she was maybe having a seizure or something because she was glitching.
I was glitching a lot, but like specifically when, so the girls are all like, okay, basically they see the fish screams at them. They're scared. They booty bop everything. Sharks, craziness, everything goes wrong. There's silt in the water. I was like, the silt would dissipate much faster than that. But Chelsea was like, there's no current, you know? And that's true. There's probably no current. I don't know. Maybe it's stagnant water. Disgusting. I don't want to think about that.
Mosquitoes.
Ancient medieval mosquitoes. They could give you the plague. That's not good.
A horror movie of its own. Nobody write that.
That's Chelsea's idea. But like then they find one of the dudes, one of the cutie boys who I don't know which one was dating what, but one of them was dating one of them.
The one who showed Alexa the caves.
Oh, okay, yeah. They find Ben and like, you know, you're like, oh, there's someone there who knows what the fuck they're doing. He's wearing flippers. Wow. Like maybe he can help them. But he just immediately, of course, gets murked. Duh. Of course he gets murked.
And that's when they see the shark for the first time and they're like, a shark here in the underwater where we can't see anything and things have toppled down around us. And then they try to go to the exit and the shark is just ruthless. And it is so aggressive trying to get after them. I mean, you can imagine it's 700 years old, just like the fish. It's been under there forever. It's probably very hungry.
How
you know
many
what I mean? It's been 300 years
since
its last meal. And it's really going after them aggressively to the point where it, you know, how stone works. Water erodes stone over time. That's how you get sand and all kinds of other stuff. And, you know, the structural system of the cave is just not strong enough to support a shark attacking at full force. And so the entrance that they were going to use, that they would have been able to safely escape from, were it not for this shark, crumbled, and they were trapped.
Absolutely crumbled. Luckily, they found an air pocket. But, you know, before Ben is maybe his name or unknown man number one.
No, it's Ben because later it's sound of Carl putting down his welding torch.
I know. I was just joking around. But like you see Ben and he's framed like, okay, I was going to do it. And he's framed with all this dead space behind him. And you're like, okay, I know what's going to happen. So I literally had my hand just hovering over Sydney's arm, just hovering there the whole time when they were talking. And I was like, Monica, put it back down, put it back down. Because I didn't want her to notice, but she didn't. And then I grabbed the shit out of her. I hope it didn't bruise you.
You're fine. I'd like that.
I kept it together though later on. I sat on my hands for a while. I did the classic like make a move on you dude thing where you know you yawn, you're like put your arms up and then put your arms around the shoulder of the babe next to you. Did that to my girls. It was great. Gorgeous. But yeah, I mean, they're pretty much fucked from the get-go, right? Because like what are you gonna do? You're stuck. You have no idea what this cage system is. Cave. There's no cage.
It's no cage.
It's uncaged. How could I? Oh my god. They've got no flippers, as I've said many times. And they're breathing medieval air at this point because they find an air pocket and it's probably got the poopiest air that anyone's ever breathed.
They literally are like, this air tastes bad.
I'm like, yeah, honey, that air is just filled with like shark farts. Like that's the only way that's being
nothing but shark farts.
And like medieval fish farts, and that's not good either.
Yeah, I just think the thing about this movie, the thing about the last movie, 47 meters down, caged, is that
it's like parentheses cage. Do you know?
Cage. It's and it's an implied cage, if you will.
Implied, a metaphorical cage.
A metaphorical cage that is also a literal cage, but it's not perhaps literally in the title. If you're gonna be a like. It would have been. What's the word?
Are you okay? Literal?
No.
As if you're gonna be
It would have been too on the nose if the first one had been called Caged, you know, and the second one was called
They
Uncaged.
said, we know that this is going to perform. There will have to be a second one that is uncaged, so we will specify that this is the caged one. The word I was looking for is stickler. Technically, it is not in the film's title if you're going to be a stickler about it, is what I would have said if my brain had provided me with that word in that space.
It's not even being a stickler. It's just not in the name.
It's basically in the name. All right. Anyway, in 47 meters down caged, obviously the fun part, or if you're Sydney, I guess the not fun part, is the last like 20 minutes or so when all of the action really gets going, because there's so many like long pauses in between it in that movie, which is great for the atmosphere of like being claustrophobic, being scared. You don't know what's going to happen. It's like sometimes it can be really effective to have a horror movie that exists just like in one enclosed space. You know what I mean? But then the last 20 minutes are like such a completely different tone, and the thing is that the tone of that last 20 minutes is the entire movie in this one. It's just the entire fucking movie
stalking you in the face.
There are some like extended scenes, not necessarily on like a let's unpack our feelings kind of way like they do in the first one, and not necessarily in like a sit in the silence kind of way. It's like you just have to watch them like clawing along the ocean floor for 2 full minutes, and with the subtitles being like heavy breathing or whatever.
Loud,
you know what I mean?
Rushing water noises, like, okay,
exactly.
We get it.
Yeah.
Okay, but like the fear in this one is so much more palpable because like you actually get to see the shark the whole time pretty much, because the shark's fucking blind, right? And so they have to just be quiet. And the shark's just like right above them, and so they just have to be quiet and not move, and then they're free from the shark, but the shark is just always around.
Okay, here's where I'm gonna bring in the marine biology of it all. I read an article from The Ringer. Miles Surrey wrote the article. They were talking to Dr. Stephen Kajiura. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong, but they're a professor at Florida Atlantic University's Department of Biological Sciences. And they talked about like the sharks, like obviously this is fake. Those wouldn't exist. But like, why wouldn't they exist? And like, what would be different? Blah, blah, blah. And so the writer asked, in this movie, it's implied the great whites had evolved over centuries surviving in the caves. Would this type of evolution be possible if hypothetically a group of great whites got trapped in underwater caves? Like what kind of stuff would happen? And the marine biologist basically said they would not have no eyes or like glazed over eyes like they do in the movie. They would have really big eyes so that they could like process as much light as possible.
Oh my God. Wait,
and
I'm picturing like the new age Beanie Babies, not the OG. The OG shit's cute as hell. They're doing too much these days, to be clear what my stance is on Beanie Babies. But the new age Beanie Babies where their eyes are like 90% of their whole fucking face, like super kawaii shark with giant fucking eyes. Is that what you're saying? Is that what he's saying?
That's the only thing I can picture.
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, there are real species of marine animals called like shakes that are like shark cousins essentially, and they just live like deeper down, and they have like larger eyes to adjust to lower light levels further into the ocean. But he's saying like clearly they base these off like blind cavefish, which are a thing, but they're really tiny because there's just not a lot of resources in caves. And so again, these wouldn't work. But also one thing he does say is, let me find it. Hold on. Yeah, because the issue with these movies are the sharks are not hunting visually. Sharks usually hunt visually, I guess. But so these sharks, like, are they using their other senses, like hearing? And what this guy says is, they're called skates. They're not called shakes.
I know about skates. Yeah, raisin skates, but skates are in the like ray family. I thought like manta ray. Blah,
I'm
blah, blah.
not
Like a guitar fish, that kind of thing. I think that's
maybe they're not shark cousins, and I made that up too.
No, I feel like they're related. They're cartilaginous or whatever. They got like cartilage shit. Anyway,
I don't know if that's the word, but I love that.
And we will continue to read the article and not go by what I'm saying. Continue.
Yeah. Anyway, skates have electroreceptors. And so they can't see as much, but it's a non-visual sensory modality, which is effective in the dark. But it basically also, if I'm understanding it correctly, like they can feel the changes in the water around them, not like quite echolocation because they don't have to like dolphin cackle or whatever. But like they
dolphin
can feel
cackle.
Dolphins don't cackle, but I'm not.
I like it.
What would you call it?
I would have just been like, but that there. So there you go. To be clear, that's what you mean.
But so it says like theoretically, were these sharks to exist, they would probably detect water movement, which doesn't make any sense in this movie because sometimes people stand still and they get eaten by a shark immediately. And sometimes they stand still and the shark passes right over them. But even when they're very still and the shark passes right over them, it's like little bubbles are escaping from their oxygen tanks 100% of the time. Yes. So it doesn't even make sense.
It's going to hit the little tum-tum of the shark. And it's going to be like, what was that? A little tickle? Sounds like dinner, you know?
Also, yeah, I mean, I just real quickly, the writer said, in terms of pop culture sharks on a scale of 1 to 10, let's say Sharknado is a 10, how absurd would you say the blind great white cave sharks of 47 meters down Uncaged are? And he said also a 10. So these are Sharknado level sharks, I guess.
I love a good Sharknado.
And yes, that's what I'm looking for in this movie, frankly. So if you ask me, they nailed it.
No, I said in the last movie or in the last episode that I wanted it to be more like Sharknado. So I'm very happy to hear that this is 10 out of 10 as bonkers for this marine biologist. Also, I also want to say that cartilaginous is a fucking word and I checked.
Amazing. No. I was not trying to be like, you don't know the word. I was trying to be like incredible that you either know the word or that a substitute came to you so quickly and freely.
Oh, no,
I thought it was incredible.
I didn't even think it. It just came out of my mouth. So wow. I learned something in high school. But yeah,
wow.
It means made of cartilage, having a skeleton of cartilage.
And also, Monica did go to marine biology camp. So
yes,
so did I, but I didn't know that.
Let's call it marine biology camp. I like that better.
One thing that I love about this movie is it passes the Bechdel test.
Yes, it does.
So
baby.
The last one.
It passes it multiple times. Unless the shark's a man, in which case.
No, the shark has evolved beyond gender.
This shark has evolved beyond sight and beyond gender. Like, that's a beautiful thing.
It's a low bar is the thing about the Bechdel test. It's a very low bar.
And so many don't pass. But this one, like the 4 main people are women. Like I like, you know what I mean? Like, yay. This is a big feminist movie.
Big feminism. But unfortunately, feminism. Unfortunately, there are a few more men who are involved in the movie. But I mean, not totally.
Yeah, but they all die.
One of them is Grant.
They all die.
And that's important.
Oh yeah, they do all die. Well, I mean, we already know Ben's gone out the get-go, and then we get
Carl putting down his welding, whatever.
He be out there underwater soldering, which would have been hot if he hadn't died right away afterwards. But he gets absolutely obliterated and ripped to pieces. But I'm happy that he does because he gives us one of the scariest jump scares in the entire movie, which is when his ripped up fucking face comes into the shot and ruins everyone's lives, you know?
A clear reference to Jaws, the original, not necessarily the original, but the classic traditional shark movie when Ben Gardner's head pops up in the boat. It's a clear reference, baby.
Right. And
they said, we know who's the king of the genre.
We get
it ain't us.
Sex in the City Aiden, who is the daddy of this movie. Can we just talk about this scene? as like a whole when they find like they're looking for the dad. They finally find the dad. He's like, why the fuck are y'all all down there? But we have to escape. And so he gets all 4 girls and himself up into where he descended down. And he has a little climbing
apparatus.
It's called an ascender.
Ooh, I'm like, I'm not a climber. I don't know what this is. I do not know.
Should I get James in here?
Right? James.
My roommate is into climbing, to be clear.
Yes. And then, oh God, I'm having like PTSD just thinking about this scene.
Oh, yeah. So it's Daddy Grant tries to get them to be calm, but boy, it's hard to be calm when there's 40 black sharks below your feet.
Well,
there's only 2.
There could be 40. You don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
For every meter down, there's a shark.
System is.
For every meter down, there is a shark.
Sharks down.
47 sharks down. But he sends Alexis up first.
Right? Yeah, Alexa is going up first. And the way the ascender works basically is like, you just like, crank. I don't know how to describe it. There's a little thing that helps you climb up by just like cranking it, essentially. Mm-hmm. And she's going up, she's on her way up, and it's working, and everybody's like, yay, we're gonna get out of here. And that's actually when the 2 sharks show up and shit fully hits the fan, because for some people, survival instinct just kicks in.
Nicole.
Justine Stallone.
You know what? If she was the only one who survived, you guys would be so proud of her. You guys would be like, she did what she had to do.
No, I wouldn't.
Sometimes,
because if she's the only one who survived, she's the only one who survived because she fucking killed everybody else. Because straight up, she's just like, I put my life as Sylvester Stallone's daughter above all the rest of these bitches, and just climbs Alexa's body and then just free arms it. Fucking free arms it.
Like an absolute beast.
Like an absolute beast. She got that upper body strength. She got that Hulk lady shit going on.
You would need to do that.
Oh my God. Yes, amazing. But also your disregard for other people's lives he would have to do that. It's pretty strong as well.
And it's okay because she gets yeeted off the cliff because she doesn't. Okay.
No, what she does is she breaks the only way for them to escape because she chose her life above everyone else. And then she almost makes it out, but she fucks it. And then she still falls down. And because she falls from such great height, she goes down deep into the water. The sharks are like, I know what's up. And then
they rip her in half.
They have a little Sistine Stallone buffet.
A little Sistine snack.
Beautiful. And yeah, she gets ripped in half, which I liked, after her transgression, seeing her absolutely be pulled into 2 pieces, I was like, fair. Of all the deaths so far, fair.
No, it's not fair.
Well,
I'm sorry. I was mad at her. No one deserves death in that way, but also if you're gonna just sentence the rest of your group to death, then,
Karma.
She didn't mean to.
Yes, she did.
Yes, she didn't.
Yes,
she was gonna throw the ascender down after her and be like, bye, fuck you guys. She was just like, no, me first.
Chelsea, I hope I'm never in a life or death scenario with you, because it is clear to me that you will put us all to death so you can escape.
Would I
do the same thing that Nicole did?
Murder you? No. Would I perhaps
cause your death? Yes.
Life instead of sacrificing myself for you? Maybe. Who knows how any of us would act in a life or death situation with 2 blind sharks waiting below from the 1400s?
I personally learned a lot from
such an experience.
I've learned.
I'm just saying. I think in other horror films, sometimes a character has to leave somebody behind. And we don't judge them every single time. We
don't judge them every single time, but
sometimes
this
you have to
time
save
we
yourself. Was she being a little selfish bee? Yes, obviously. Sometimes selfish keeps you alive. I'm just saying. Any one of them who survives is going to have survivor's guilt regardless. Oh, you might as well be the one who survives.
Chelsea, let me know that I will remember this conversation for the future.
Not going into the ocean or into the woods with Chelsea.
Yep.
Ever.
Gonna keep this
Truly
in
noted.
mind. Eyes on my own back, that's for sure.
As it should be, perhaps. As it should be.
But then after the, oddly satisfying death of Sistine, we are lulled into a false security by Daddy Aiden himself, because he's like, the sharks are gone. There's no way out.
They ate Sistine, and so they are satiated for now.
Right.
Well, but they set off the siren thing as well when they're freaking out, because the Ascender has fallen in with Nicole tragically. And for whatever reason, it is beyond the realms of possibility to use it like a little lasso and throw it back out and hook it onto something as though you were in a Looney Tunes cartoon. That's where the Bugs Bunny came in, I guess. But
I just say certainly all the time.
But they're freaking out, being like, who's gonna find us now? And Alexa uses the little siren just to express her inner freak out, but it scares the sharks away. The sharks go away, and they're like, we're safe for a moment. We've got to regroup and reconvene and figure out our plan, because now they've got to go back into the fucking caves. And tragically, that is when the worst happens.
Grant's given a great plan. Wonderful plan. He's like, we're gonna do this because it's do or die, baby. And then you know what? He dies.
It's do or die, and he immediately does die.
He does just get, and it's not even that cool of a death. He's just gone. He's just gone. They take him down. What if a big man snack?
What if Nicole had finished climbing up and then used her clearly demonstrated upper body strength to pull them all up faster on the rope one by
Chelsea,
one? You guys,
why are you even saying that? She didn't do that. She didn't do that.
Might have when she reached the top.
She could have. Choice, Chelsea.
No,
so we'll never
have the opportunity to make that choice yet.
Chelsea.
I'm just saying.
Chelsea. The listeners will be on our side.
You gotta put your oxygen mask on first on an airplane, you guys.
That's not the same thing. Okay. If you're using that analogy, that's like, I need all the oxygen, so I'm gonna rip out everybody else's oxygen mask so I can put mine on and I'll have the oxygen. Because otherwise, I won't have any. Because someone else might have some.
You're acting like there are 4 ascenders and she climbed her own and then cut the other 3. That is not the case.
Her actions destroyed all of their chances to live. Her actions killed Alexa, okay? And I like Alexa.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Her actions murked Alexa, the cool girl who was trying to make him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I cared about him a little bit less, though.
They probably would have died regardless. I mean, who knows?
No, Alexa was going to live. Alexa was doing fine. She was listening to instructions. Not that I'm like, follow the rules. I'm not the rule follower here. Chelsea's the good girl of the pod, but I guess maybe not.
Sorry, my survival instincts are maybe better than yours.
No. I'm the outdoorsy one.
Look, I could never be Nicole because I simply don't have the upper body strength or the core strength or any kind of strength except perhaps lower body. But I just think, who knows? You know what I mean? Would have been a different movie. Who knows what you would have said in a different movie? Whatever. I will.
Who knows
see this
what
for now and move on.
Said if
the movie were different, maybe what you're saying would be different.
If this was a different movie, maybe we would be saying.
If it were a different movie, you might feel differently about that different movie, Monica. That's a fact. You can't just do that.
I mean, I can't argue with that. There's no way to argue with that. Three beautiful idiots.
That's how it works. That's the reality. That's
if
science.
Everything was different, something might be different.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But I mean, the rest of this movie is not that funny because this is like leads in like, okay, it's been crazy. You just saw someone ripped in half. You just saw the hottie daddy die immediately. There's no hope, but they still persevere. But you know what? No one expected. Maybe we expected 20 more sharks. Maybe we expected sharks that suddenly have big eyes instead, like suddenly they listen to the marine biologist. But instead what we get is a fucking underwater whirlpool that maybe takes you to the center of the earth.
Who knows where it goes?
When we were watching it last night, I was like, this would be a great moment to pivot the entire vibe and make it a time travel thing. And they go down the fucking whirlpool. They end up in medieval times. Maybe that's where the medieval fish came from. Actually, it's making a lot more sense now.
Things are coming together here in a really strong scientific way. Wow. Evidence-backed, peer-reviewed.
Stunning. But no, it's just a whirlpool that is, I guess that happens in an underground. Is it a Mayan temple or Aztec temple? I'm so sorry. It's an underground temple. We'll fact check later.
Let me look at the Wikipedia page.
I just don't remember.
Submerged Mayan city.
Okay. You never know.
But there's an IMDb trivia piece that is like, while they entered the city, there's a song by an Aztec called like Aztec blah 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 something. So
I Shazammed that song during the movie. I liked it. They're kind of, they're not being too serious here with 47 meters down, Uncaged, about like historical accuracy of the underwater temple. But I mean, maybe every underwater temple has a giant whirlpool to the center of the earth. That kind of checks out for me. Indiana Jones vibes. Adam throughout this entire movie was like, it's not going to be what you think it is. It's not that there are sharks. It's that the whole thing is like an Indiana Jones booby trap thing. And everything that happens was planned by the ancient Mayans to fuck up anyone who disrupted their beautiful temple, as they should. And I like to read it that way.
I mean, maybe. I certainly
a good point.
think, they had catacombs down there. It was like very much a labyrinthine tunnel system. I don't know that I buy into the booby traps element so much as you're designed to get lost in the caves if you so much as dare to enter the space that is not for you.
Is that not innately a booby trap?
You're making a great point. That's a great point.
It's all planned.
It is booby trap.
All
singular.
Booby trap. Booby traps. Either way, it's fucked. And the whirlpool is something no one would expect. But the whirlpool does separate Mia and Sasha at first, and then Mia and Sasha and Alexa, because love Alexa, beautiful woman, but she does get yeeted by the shark. When the shark comes and grabs your tank, you have to go with it, because there's no fighting a shark that big unless you can yank out its whole eyeball, a la Mandy Moore from the dream sequence of the first film. But
yeah, I mean, the thing that is great about that scene is that Sasha gets sucked away by the whirlpool, and you're like, man, that sucks. Sasha's a goner. And then somehow slowly through 5 minutes of underwater crawling, heavy breathing, subtitles, Mia and Alexa do make their way from one side of the whirlpool, like along the sides of the cave, to the other side of the whirlpool so that they can keep going. And that's where the fucking shark is. And it just gets Alexa's pack almost immediately. And it is the hardest death in this movie.
It's so disturbing.
Honestly, it's like upsetting to watch almost because she's trying to get away from her tank. She tries to get, and then she like ends up pulling off her tank because the shark has it, and she tries to swim away.
Possibly do.
Yeah, there's also no other air to breathe, and she just drowns.
And they show her face through every second of her drowning. Like they show her scream underwater, lose all her air. Then they show her fervently swimming without her flippers. So she's not going to get very far. And then she realizes what's going to happen. And you can see it on her face. Incredible acting by Alexa. Okay. What's that actress's name?
Brienne Jew.
Brienne Jew. She is an incredible actress, beautiful girl, incredible eyebrows. And the eyebrows look great as she breathes her last breath, which is just of water, and she dies, and you watch the light leave her eyes. Literally, it's so fucked up.
So I took a bathroom break during this scene because I didn't realize what was coming. Obviously, I was like, oh, we're going to spend another 15 minutes like crawling away from this whirlpool. I have plenty of time to go to the bathroom. And I missed it. And before recording this, Monica was like, you must watch this death. You have to watch Alexa die.
Oh, yeah. Literally seconds before we started recording, I was like, watch this horrifying, disturbing thing. Cut it off. No fun. Just the sad part. And then we continue on. Now get in show mode.
I will say, Brienne is actually not one of the Nickelodeon actresses necessarily. She may have been on a little Nickelodeon potentially. Oh, I guess she was in a few episodes of Cory in the House as well. That's Disney Channel. But her little sister was on a Nickelodeon show with Breck Basinger, who plays the bully, Catherine. But she's a little bit of a tiny horror actress. She was in that really bad Hulu horror series, Light as a Feather, which I have watched all of, but it is not good. And she's gay in it.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, she's in the new I Know What You Did Last Summer TV series that's coming soon. She was she's in the Scream TV series, which I have never watched but need
she's a little baby Scream.
And one of our pod friends, Caitlin Riley, I believe, has a podcast about that show that I gotta tune into, or at least she's talked about it. And there's just she's got like quite the little resume, you know what I mean? Like she absolutely put her whole body into that death scene, and it shows. Like no wonder she's getting jobs, you know what I mean? But seriously, she's getting those jobs.
Good for her, because that shit was disturbing as fuck, and it will stick with me, especially because I watched it about 30 minutes ago.
Yes.
But I mean, that happens, you're like, all hope is lost, everyone went down the fucking whirlpool of time and they're in the medieval era now. No, they're not. They're actually okay. And they're at the bottom of the whirlpool. And somehow the bottom of the whirlpool was the secret to it all along, because it leads them to a tiny column of light where they can shimmy shake their little selves up to their rescue, right? As a giant chomping blind shark tries to eat their feet. And you're not sure if it's going to happen. You're like, oh my God, they're stuck. Mia's foot gets stuck in her breathing apparatus because they have to take off their tanks and their masks and everything as well, a la Alexa. And we're like, Alexa just did this and she died. Will they die too? No. Mia learned from earlier in the movie. She blows air out onto a rock and breathes it back in. Very genius. And you're like, wow, they're doing it. They make it to the surface. The movie's over, right? Everything's happy. No.
Devin was one of our friends watching with us, was like, haha, what if they just get eaten by a regular shark? And I was like, well, guess what?
Hold on.
Give it 30 seconds, Devin.
They pop out into this beautiful bay and they're like, wow, we're so happy. Let's figure out how to like crawl up this cliff. Of course it's a cliff beach. Poor things. It's absolutely fucked. And then they're like, oh, wait, we're swimming in the water? The water is kind of red. That's weird. And you look and it's the exact same glass bottom boat that they had tickets to that same day, because it's the same day. It feels like you've been in this movie for 20 years because it's been so stressful, but it's only been a few hours. And the boat trip they should have been on is still going down. And the bitch that pushed Mia into the pool at the beginning of the film is on that boat. So she's gonna see you die. That's terrible. That sucks. And they, of course, illegally chummed the water because they learned nothing from the first movie.
So much illegal chumming.
Well, I actually Googled this because I was like, is it illegal to chum the water? Like maybe it's only illegal when you're doing like diving in the cage. And so perhaps it's not illegal here since they're uncaged. There's something to that. I saw an article called on Earth Touch News Network about a great white shark that got stuck in a dive cage because humans chummed the waters. And then I was like, oh, I wonder where the first 47 meters down caged got their idea from, because that article is from 2016 and the first movie came out in 2017. But apparently this is something that occasionally happens because people regularly do chum the waters even though they're not supposed to. And there's like a loophole where like if you put the chum in a bag, technically you're not feeding the sharks. The sharks
you're just
illegally
dumping.
Yeah, but you are allowed to use bait, but there's like certain regulations. So just throwing chum in the water, I think if you're on a glass bottom boat, like maybe that would be okay. I imagine this glass bottom boat looked pretty legit. And so they probably follow the rules, unlike the janky little boat we saw in 47 meters down, Caged. And so I think it's got to be okay here.
Bad news for the sisters, though.
But frankly, also feeding wild animals is always going to disrupt the local ecosystem, etc. So, but yeah, it goes really wrong for Sasha.
Really wrong
because they swim right through the chum before they go and realize what's just happened.
And there's like 7 great white sharks. And
guess
what, guys? These ones have eyes. Or well, the other ones have eyes. These ones are not blind.
Yo, and these girls get their shit rocked by like now not like modern day sharks.
Modern day sharks, not medieval
not
sharks.
Not ancient sharks. These sharks have all of their senses. They're ready.
And it is just unfortunate to see, I would hate to be eaten at any time. I would extra hate to be eaten with an audience. And I would hate the most to be eaten with the audience, and that audience includes my bully. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's just mortifying. They're like,
but also,
that dumb idiot Mia, she's going to get eaten by a shark. I pushed her in the pool earlier today. But I luckily, the bully is not a horrible, heartless bitch and is shooken to her core by these.
Yeah, like maybe that transforms her. You know what I mean?
No, it seems like it does.
But to your credit of what you were saying earlier, this final scene is a demonstration of I guess what you think you should do, which is if you make it onto the boat safely and you are free of the sharks but your sister is still in the shark infested waters, you should grab a flare gun off the boat, tell everybody else to get out of your way, and then dive right back into those shark infested waters. Because
pretty epic.
it is pretty epic. It is pretty epic.
Nicole would never have done.
No.
And I also never would do, and you shouldn't either. Don't dive into shark infested waters with a flare gun. I don't think it's gonna go the way you think it's gonna go. Kudos to you if you would like to die by my side. I am honored if I'm the one in the water, but I would rather you survive. From my perspective, if I'm in the water, would I love to be saved? Yes. Throw me the life preserver. Do not save yourself and then jump back into certain death.
Wish that they had done anything with the life preserver.
There's like 40 of them on the boat. They're just chilling.
Could have been.
They are helpful. Just decor.
No.
They're all from Home Goods.
Like, oh, sorry. That life preserver, it's made of concrete and I painted it myself. It's not actually a life preserver at all. But even that would have helped. They could have fucking thrown it onto a shark, knocked it out cold. But they don't do that. But I did really like Mia's slow motion. Like,
well, they all get a slow motion.
Okay, but
it's incredible.
Her slow motion action hero shooting her gun, being like, die, shark! That's my stepsister. That's not what she says. She just yells, I guess.
Right.
I wish she had said "fuck you, shark" or something like that. But it's a PG-13 movie; they're not allowed to say the F slur.
They should get one F word in a PG-13 movie, and that's where I would have used it. Frankly,
yeah, fuck you, shark bitch. That's what you
get
can
the fuck away from my sister. Fire, you know?
Yeah, no, but we didn't get that. But we did get the slow-mo, and it was sick, and it kind of worked, and punched him right in the fucking face. Saved Sasha. Then she also gets yeeted by the shark once again. There's multiple sharks. It could be another shark. There's no way to tell. But she somehow survives as well. And they're bloodied and they're ripped apart. And it's very graphic, but they still have time to hug. And then the movie's over.
Yeah. And that's it.
Their families are dead. Their friends are dead. And they have bodily injuries of unknown proportions, but they survived. Maybe if they don't die from blood loss, just
or infection.
Or infection. Yeah, if you get bit by a sea lion, it can really fuck you up infection wise. So I feel like sharks maybe are a little cleanlier than sea lions, though. Love a sea lion though. But anyway, that's 47 meters down Uncaged. And oh, I forgot about something that's very important. At the very end of this movie, after they hug, is the gayest part of the film. Yeah. I mean, go straight into how could it be gayer? It's already pretty gay because we don't have to feel bad about the stepsisters being mouth to mouth almost at the very end because they're not blood related. And so it's fine for us to do this, I think, right?
Yes, they're stepsisters.
Frankly, this is very Life with Derek, this movie. You know what I mean? The Casey and Derek of it all is they don't get along. They're feuding at the beginning. Somebody picks on one of them. The other one goes, hey, I'm the only one allowed to pick on them. Like first of all 4 of the girls, so unbelievably gay. If you ask me, Nicole is on the she, they, non-binary lesbian pipeline. Alexa, pansexual, Sasha, bisexual, and Mia, a lesbian. Like that's just how I feel. You know what I mean?
Incredibly specific and incredibly accurate.
Yes. And when I went back and when I watched the beginning of the movie, I was like, honestly, you could pair any single 2 pairings would be incredibly powerful because there are moments between all of them. But some of my favorite moments were in the beginning, and that Casey and Derek moment I'm talking about when they first get to the glass bottom boat and Breck Basinger, Catherine is like, you're here. And Mia just stands there looking sad. And then Sasha's like, don't let her tell you what to do. And she just flips her off. And then the girls in the car also flip her off. And Nicole kisses it for Catherine because she thinks Catherine is hot. And she says so at one point in the movie. This movie is gay. Okay, there's a lot of tension in between Sasha and Mia, including the end where they almost kiss. There's like moments between Alexa and Mia. There are moments between Alexa and Sasha. There are moments between Alexa and Nicole. There are moments between Nicole. Like truly every single one of them, there is enough there to ship something if you'd like to. It is so gay. Any single pairing, very gay, unbelievably gay.
I totally agree. And also as far as like sister here, daddy's dead, so there's nothing tying them anymore. So it's fine.
Jennifer, the mom, Nia Long, she's gonna be the mom for both of them from here on out. So like thank God she tried to establish a connection with Mia in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because like that's the only parent they've got now. Yes. But yeah, I mean like, is it great that they're stepsisters? No, but I feel like the movie wanted us to go from they keep in the beginning being like, she's not my sister, like 1,000 different times.
Not my
like
sister, she's not
girlfriend. Not in the beginning. But Sasha even says after Mia gets pushed in the pool and she comes home soaking wet and the dad is like, what happened? She says, somebody pushed her in the pool at school. It's no big deal. It's not my fault. Nobody likes her. Like they're really leaning into this we hate each other thing. And I think the the journey and the through line to 47 meters down, Caged is supposed to be like sisters developing their relationship, bonding moment. No, again, this is Casey and Derek. They're being like, that's not my sister, because they're like, secretly, I have feelings. And they need it to not be their sister because secretly they have feelings. And so by the end, I still think they're in the that's not my sister territory, and that's just because they, okay, there's specifically a Casey and Derek Life with Derek scene where they say something like blah blah blah, I guess you're not the worst stepbrother or whatever, and he's like, I'm not your brother. She's like, same difference. But it's like this incredible tension where they're gazing into each other. That's how I feel this whole movie.
I always know that everyone said that about Life with Derek, but like I didn't watch all of it. But like,
you didn't. You needed to watch one singular episode to understand.
I didn't watch that episode. That's heavy-handed.
It was supposed to be the same thing where they're like, yay, they're siblings. There's no longer a difference between step sibling and sibling. That's not what is being communicated. What is being communicated is that they want to emphasize that they are step siblings so that they can kiss.
At the end of the day, they share no blood, and therefore, if they have a child, it will not be.
But they are also two women, so at this point in
okay, well, I was talking about Life with Derek still.
Oh. Yeah. Also, Casey and Derek and Life with Derek. Look,
there's no bad
one of my favorite Degrassi fanfiction authors from middle school. Really, I didn't watch that much Life with Derek, but one of my favorite Degrassi fanfiction authors wrote a lot of Life with Derek fanfiction, and I said, I will read whatever you write, ma'am. And so I read all of it, and it's great.
The thing that I'm so worried about now is that, like, last episode we were a feet pick podcast, and this episode we're like a pro step siblings dating podcast.
Look,
like, I very vehemently defended this at this point, and I now, like, I'm not going to step back from it, but we need to move on before I say something more.
Okay, so where would our boy Matthew Lillard fit in?
Thank you, Sydney. Jesus Christ.
He could be an underwater welder, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? You know what? He should not be in this movie, but the reference to him in this movie should be. I don't remember seeing the name of the high school, but apparently the high school was named like the Modine High School after the actor from the first movie. Hold on, let me find it. Yeah, the Modine High School after actor Matthew Modine, who played like the boat captain in the first in 47 meters down, Caged. But if they had called it like the Matthew Lillard High School, that would have been the moment. You know what I mean? Like that would really push this movie over the edge.
Yeah, or if we do the between space and time, because we do have a time traveling whirlpool in this movie, so anything is possible. Mm-hmm. Like Scream era Matthew Lillard as tall under the water scuba man would always be good, or Carl the welder, but like,
or he is age appropriate enough to be the dad.
I don't want to recast Grant because I like him.
He should be the guy on the glass bottom shark boat
with
headphones in, who chums the water.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I can fuck with that. That's fine.
Yes. Can you imagine they just cut to and it's Matthew Lillard and he's just like throwing chum over the side of the boat? That would be incredible. And when we do our underwater ancient mosquito movie, he's gonna have such a type of cameo.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, that's right. Also, the underwater ancient mosquito movie would really check out because I was like, underwater mosquitoes, but they do have their larval phase stage in the water, so it works out. But they'd only live in those little ancient air pockets. So you go up for a breath and you're just breathing in mosquitoes.
It would be just like in Valentine, where she has to go up to the jacuzzi cover, the holes they've drilled to get air out of those little holes. But instead, a mosquito just bites you all over your little face.
God, I hate that. I hate that a lot. Anyway, I'll watch it though when you write it and direct it and star in it.
And star in it.
So much. Oh my God, I will star in it. I will cast myself as an actor, and then I will, I guess,
cast Sistine Stallone.
But there can only be one survivor, and it would be her. It would be her. It would not be me. Frankly, between the two of us, she would leave me to die in the shark infested waters, and I would say, be well. Live your best life.
She doesn't have final girl energy because she's not selfless. You know what I mean? So
I think in the real world, sometimes what you need to be the final girl is to not be selfless.
No.
Okay, actually, this brings me to my point, because while we were discussing this movie, at some point I eschewed my notes for this film. And do you know what notes I did pull up? My notes for Get Duked, because in that movie, they also leave one of their buddies behind, and they just camouflage Ian, and they leave him on the trail, and they say, best of luck, Ian, goodbye, we will find you later if you are still alive. And I don't remember anybody calling them terrible in that movie. This is some internalized misogyny, I guess. You just hate Nicole because she's a woman.
Bruh, shut the fuck up.
Chelsea, that is a reach.
That's such a reach. They literally did shit to protect him. It wasn't the smartest idea. I agree. That was not good. But they went out of their way to like camouflage him. Lucas with his beautiful brain was like, let me put mud on your face. Like all this shit. He was protecting him as much as he could. And then they came back for him. Nicole was like, I don't care if I fuck you all up.
She might have come back. We don't know.
They said, Nicole, you're breaking it. Nicole, it's breaking because of you. And she said,
maybe Alexa should have let go.
Alexa was in
on
a
the bottom
harness.
At that point.
Bro, Alexa was in a harness. She was
I just
strapped
don't know why you're
in.
so determined to
hate Nicole.
I think she's an angel.
Remember the part where she gets flipped upside down because of Nicole again, and she's like drowning upside down, and the shark almost eats her face because of Nicole again? Yeah, that
was true core strength when Alexa pulled herself out of the water. Truly just with the strength of her abs.
Alexa, a queen who died because of Nicole. Moving on to dumb bitch. Nicole's the dumb bitch.
No, I think this has been our dumb bitch discussion the entire time.
Nicole's a dumb bitch.
Here's the thing. I'll also give points to Alexa being the dumb bitch. Even though we love her, like, it was her idea to put on the scuba tanks in the beginning.
Again, she should have known that Nicole would not be satisfied with just that first room. She should never have entered this into the equation. You know what I mean? Because it was always going to go wrong. I do think Nicole is the dumb bitch because she's the one that antagonized the fish and then her butt knocked over the whole temple. And that is, you could argue, what shook things up in the temple and allowed the ancient shook things up and allowed the ancient medieval shark to find its way through. You know what I mean? Like maybe that cleared a passageway that wasn't previously cleared, because we know that Grant and Ben and Carl had spent plenty of time in this room previously and in other parts of this temple previously and had no shark encounters. So arguably whatever Nicole did is what released the sharks into the rest of the cave.
Release the
sharks. And so I will say for that, she is the dumb bitch. Tragically, you can't sway me on my other point. You can't sway me.
Tragically,
I appreciate your take is different. I hope we never find ourselves in a situation where one of us has to die, because I don't want to know how it's going to go. But I just think if she had survived, who knows? If she'd gotten out of there fast enough, maybe things would have been different. Like I said, if this were a different movie, perhaps we would feel differently.
If this was a different movie,
if it were a different movie. If this were 47 meters down, uncaged, unabridged.
I just want to say also,
undeterred.
I just went back while I was being silent for that last period of time. It wasn't me being salty. It was me watching the movie. And it was Nicole's idea to go down in the caves.
Okay, well, she is the dumb bitch.
Alexa was like, let's go to this watering hole. And Nicole's like, you guys, I just watched it. You guys, everything we need is right here. I mean, we don't have fins because they don't have fins, a.k.a. flippers. And it was Nicole's idea. So This dumb bitch was.
She is the dumb bitch. I don't dispute that. I don't dispute that she's the dumb bitch.
Okay, I'm glad. Anyway,
if it has to be one of them, it's for sure her.
It goes to knives out of 5. So set the scene for us, Chelsea. What did the public feel about this film?
Well, it's very interesting to me, actually, because this movie has 5.0 out of 10 on IMDb, but on Rotten Tomatoes, it got 45% from critics, which is rotten and not very good. And then audience gave it 68%, which is not very fresh, but pretty fresh, given that it's almost 70% and it's this movie that you just watched. You know what I mean? Like, you know what this is. We all know what this is. And that's quite the disparity. So critics really said boo, and audiences really said, I'd watch another. I'd watch 49 Meters Down.
Okay, but
that's the third movie.
I need a third movie right now. Like, I'd ready.
Watch a third one. If it's nothing like the first one, I'd watch a third one.
Yeah, can't be like the first one. I don't want like a throwback where they're like, let's do it like the first one, but slightly different. No. I want sharks in space now.
I want them to go through the time traveling fucking whirlpool, end up in medieval times. They're wearing the chainmail, and they're also still being attacked by sharks.
No,
they're just slowly sinking to the bottom of the ocean the whole time because they're in chainmail.
Yeah.
Think about sharks in space. They still gotta wear the big, pretty like mask to see their pretty eyelashes because in space you also can't breathe. Like, it's ideal.
We could do some like Austin Powers shit, isn't it? Austin Powers where they have the laser sharks.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I would like to see that as well.
You could easily, with the space idea, be like, the sharks, they must have evolved to be able to breathe into space, which is essentially what they do in this movie is just the sharks. They must have evolved to see and survive in the caves. So I say go for it.
Let's go.
47 meters down.
In space.
No, I like the something theme. You know what I mean? Let's brainstorm for a second.
Unwatered.
Unwatered?
Yeah, it's in space. It's not in water. There is no water, therefore unwatered.
We gotta find this is we're on the writer's room floor right now. It's gotta be snappier, Sydney. It's gotta be snappier. As far as their ratings, for this one, not the future one. Okay, go, Sydney.
Okay. I can't say how I would rate it on a rewatch, but the first go round, this is a 4 out of 5 for me. And if I watch it by myself, maybe I'll hate it. Who knows? But the atmosphere, the absolute hatred that I have of the first one. This is a 4 out of 5 for me. I had the best time watching this movie. It was fun. It was stupid. It was everything that I wanted out of a shark movie, which was more sharks and a gay bonded stepsister relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I would say that it's hard for me. I'm gonna give it 3.999999999 because I love it like a 4, but also like sometimes I'm snooty, and so here we are. But like, honestly, what a fucking blast. I loved it when we watched it and it originated our spooky crew. It will always have that special place in my heart because of that, but also it's just a fucking riot, man. It's a riot. Like, it's hilarious. You're underwater the whole time, so there's not a lot to see usually, but they give us shit to see, like spooky statues under the water. There's also a part we didn't even talk about where, like, because it's like a work zone, you know, they're like doing work down there, the dad and the 2 other dudes. They, like, you know, they're guys having fun on the job, so they've got some music.
Dudes rock.
They've got music, it's not spooky music. It's like some dad rock, but it's like spookily playing through this underwater speaker, like under the water, and it's like they hear that and they go with that, and I don't know, I thought that was really cool. Like, I didn't expect to have underwater music that wasn't like, you know, dun it, you know, so I liked it. And you know, blind sharks that can travel through space and time, that was really cool too. I loved that aspect of it. Medieval aspects, didn't expect it, loved to see it. Everyone was hot. and the gay vibes were there. So like definitely 3.999999999. Can't wait to see the third one in space with lasers.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was introducing Shark 2 weeks maybe, or when I was introducing this movie, or when I was introducing the first movie, I don't remember when, but I think I said the 47 Meters Down: Uncaged is more of a real movie, and I stand by that because it was like really trying to be something, and trying to be serious and taken seriously. And it did well in the box office, in the sense that shark movies are pretty much always a good bet. So the first one, they had like a $5 million budget and they made like $62 million, which is pretty great. And then this movie, they had a $12 million budget, which is perhaps why they were able to be like, we will CGI 14 sharks and also a whole underwater city. They didn't, and also they got these baby little actresses who they probably did not have. They gave all of their money to John Corbett probably in terms of casting. But this movie made like 46 million, which is still a pretty incredible turnover. I just think they had better resources for this movie, but they also said, do you know what people liked about that first one? Just the last bit. They didn't like the serious parts of the movie. They liked the absolutely insane parts of the movie. And so we will give them a completely, totally insane film.
Yes.
Same director, same writers, just absolutely nailed it on the second go round. They said, we've taken your notes, we've taken your feedback, and here's what we have given you: a present. The sister who gets swept away does actually return. You think that they're going to survive. They just barely do. And then they really actually get to survive. Like everything that you wanted and they tore away from you at the last moment in the first movie, they do deliver on in this movie. And then also it is so gay. It is so gay. Is the writing good? Not really. Am I asking it to be good? No. And so for that, I will be giving this movie like a 4.3 knives out of 5s.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And shockingly, that is the conclusion of Sharky 2 weeks. Excuse me, Shark 2 weeks.
Sharky 2's weeks.
But Sharky 2's weeks will live on in our hearts forever.
And on the internet.
And on the internet forever. Oh, God. But that brings us to our next film. And I don't know what it is, so one of you tell me.
So next week, we are watching another 80s slasher camp whodunit murder, Sleepaway Camp, which I've seen it. Neither of you two have seen it, and I'm a little nervous about this one. I love it. Can't wait to see y'all's
Ooh. Just based on how scared you are to tell us about this film, have absolutely no idea what I could possibly expect.
I need to fully go in blind on this movie. Don't read anything about it. Don't watch a trailer.
I wasn't planning on it. I like to go in.
Go in blind on this one.
I'm terrified.
Because when I first watched it, I actually had somebody on like a dating site recommend it to me because I was always like, what's your favorite scary movie? Great opener. They recommended me that one and I was just like, okay, I'm going to immediately watch this, and I had a great time, and then I was like, oh shit.
Wow. So we will be experiencing something brand new next week, so tune in. If you liked what you heard this week, if you love sharks, if you think Nicole was a bitch, you should give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Even if you don't think that and you agree with Chelsea somehow, well, let's talk. But please give us a 5-star review. Also, you should follow us on all our social media at spooky_Tuesday. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And we're also at Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr. Thanks for listening.
Bye, Spooky.
Bye.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra.
And our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.
Look, I know you and Sasha have a hard time sometimes, but we're family.
She's not my sister.